Alright, so I thought that I would just make a quick video to go through the existing functionality of the Society Zero X platform, and just to make it a bit easier to understand what's going on, I guess. So first thing that I just like to mention is that I am running this on a local Ethereum instance, so the transactions are a lot faster just for demonstration purposes. And also just to keep in mind that any like DAI values here or signal values here, even on the testnet application on dao.society0x.org, it's just test money. So if anything is built in a way that isn't like agreeable with the way that you feel things should be, then just keep in mind that it's not actually real money, and that the Discord is always open for anybody to discuss how they would like things to change or what they think isn't fair or anything like that. So yeah, now that that's out of the way, the first thing that you'll need is some testnet DAI. If you don't have any, then you'll be able to go to the faucet here and withdraw some. You will need Rinkeby Ether to perform any of this functionality. So if you don't have any Rinkeby Ether, then you can either Google the Rinkeby Ether faucet or just come onto the Discord for Society Zero X. You can get there by clicking social here and then going to discussion. That'll take you to the Discord, and then I'll be able to just send you some Rinkeby Ether. Okay, so we've got DAI, and now that we've got DAI, we'll need to get some signal. So to do that, you can just go to the Signal exchange, and let's just make it 100 here and convert that into signal. The first transaction will be to grant a 100 DAI allowance to the Society Zero X smart contract, well, the Signal smart contract. And the second transaction will mint the 10,000 DAI. It's at an exchange rate of 1 DAI is equal to 100 signal. And so now that we have that allowance in place, we can confirm this, and it can transfer that 100 DAI from our account, mint the 10,000 signal, and basically now all of these units of signal that we've just created over here are collateralized by that 100 DAI that we put in. So initially we started this exchange process with 200 DAI, and we can see here that if we were to turn this 10,000 signal back into DAI, then we would get back to our 200 DAI value. So nothing gets lost in this exchange process. But yeah, now that I've demonstrated that, I just want to get that signal again. So again, it's the same process of allowance and then minting. When we mint, it does deplete that allowance, and our allowance goes back down to 0 for DAI. Once we have signal, we do need to set some signal allowance here. So I'm just going to set it to 100, or I mean, I'll just put it somewhere arbitrary like that. But the reason for that is that firstly, you might want to be making donations to funds and that kind of thing with Signal. And so if you set the allowance here first, then you don't need to set that allowance every time you want to make a donation. You can kind of just skip to the donation point. I'll show that a little bit later. But also there's this interaction fee currently, which is used to register personas and to change your profile pictures and cover pictures, and basically anything that modifies the state of Society Zero X's contracts without necessarily being a transfer of signal. So anything that doesn't transfer signal, that does change the state, costs this interaction fee. But I am thinking to abolish this in a future update. For now it's here though, so we will need a positive signal allowance. I'm just going to confirm that. Also, one thing that I'd like to note is all of these allowance updates, we are setting the allowance to this actual number. We aren't setting it to an astronomically large number like some dApps do at the moment. So yeah, your allowance is always being set to what you are trying to set it to. So now that we have an allowance, we could register. So I'm just going to set a random persona here. And this will associate that persona with our public key here. So now we have a profile, and now we could edit our profile. So I'm just going to set a profile picture and a cover picture. One thing to note is that the internet in South Africa is a bit slow at the moment because there's an undersea cable breakage. So it might take a little while to load those images once I go to my profile, but yeah, I just wanted to mention that. And these are stored on IPFS, and then the hash from IPFS is stored on our blockchain. Okay, so now we have a profile. You can see here this background picture is loading slowly. That's because of that undersea cable breakage. So now that we have a profile, you don't actually need to set a profile picture or a cover picture to gain access to this fund section, but you will need to have a persona registered before it will appear here in the menu. Also, you can access your persona settings by going to the settings section. So let's just create a fund here. This is all still very primitive. It's just like a proof of concept stage at the moment. And yeah, you can see that you basically just set an initial milestone. This is denominated in Signal, and just a name for your fund and a picture for your fund. And now we can create that fund. And again, just uploads that image to IPFS. Once it's on IPFS, we can just confirm the creation of that fund. Okay, so now we have the fund, and this picture will load slowly. Hopefully, maybe this one's done loading. There we can see that's done loading now. This slow loading image issue shouldn't occur when anyone else is testing. This is just a result of this undersea cable breakage. But basically now we can see that we have a plain fund here. Nothing's really going on here. So now we get to the point where somebody may want to donate some Signal to this milestone here. So let's just say, for example, we want to donate 100 Signal. Now, because we've already got an allowance that exceeds 100 Signal, we can actually just skip. It goes straight to step 2 over here. So we can confirm that. And we will see that it will add our donation now to this graph over here, and here we can see our milestones. We can see the percentage completion of that milestone, and we can see the donation here. Now, one other thing to keep in mind is that with Signal, natively whenever Signal is transferred, there is a 1% taxation which gets split in half, and the one half goes to a development fund, which would effectively be like the Society Xerox Foundation Fund, and the other half goes to a community fund, which in the long run will have a smart contract behind it, which distributes it to the community programmatically. The foundation fund will be more like a discretionary pool of value for the organization to spend on like hiring people and that type of thing. Yeah, so now that we have made a donation here, because we haven't reached this milestone yet, we are able to withdraw our Signal. So we can let's just withdraw that max amount for demonstration purposes, and we should see our graph update accordingly. Okay, so here we can see that we added our donation and then we removed it, and we can see that happening over here as well. We should be back at 0% here. So now let's donate a quantity that would push us over the milestone. Okay, now if it goes over the milestone, every donation is counted as a donation towards the current milestone that is being worked towards. Okay, and in this case over here, let me just reject this so that I can point here. We are making a donation to this milestone over here, and this is more than that milestone, so it will push us beyond that. And if we cross that milestone, then our funds are no longer withdrawable. So maybe I can demonstrate a little bit better. So let's first put this 500 signal donation in, and we'll see that we get this option to withdraw our signal, minus that tax which was from the transference, but that's every time signals transferred, that tax runs. Yeah, okay, so now let's push it beyond that. Let's just put 600 here. And now we'll see that it's telling us that this is going to push us over the current milestone by 89 signal, and it's the entire value of this donation will be locked into the fund. That includes whatever we donated before to that milestone. So we should see here that we no longer have that option to withdraw our signal because we've pledged it all to a milestone which has been hit. And because I created this fund, I could set a new milestone over here. If you aren't the fund owner, then you would only see this option here to forward the current milestone to the beneficiary. So let's just give that a try, and we can see here that it should visually show us here how much has been forwarded to the beneficiary. So it goes gray like that when it's been forwarded. We can see here this is still awaiting, like being forwarded, and that can only be forwarded once it gets, once it hits a new milestone. So let's say we're the fund owners. Let's set a new milestone here of 2000 signal. So now that we have this set, people again will be able to start making donations, and once that gets hit, then it's exactly the same story where it can be forwarded. And also another thing to keep in mind is that if you hit the milestone, let's just go ahead and go for a 1000 signal donation here. I think that will carry us over. Now, if we as the fund owners set a new milestone, it will also forward the currently pending funds to us. So let's just make this 2,500. Okay, so we see here it forwarded up to that milestone to the beneficiary, and now we're back in exactly the same situation as earlier, where we have a new milestone to work towards, and once we hit that, then that milestone will be able to be, well, this difference here will be forwarded to the beneficiary once it's either sent by another user or once the fund owner sets a new milestone. Yeah, so that is pretty much it in terms of the current functionality that's been added to the site. The menu's just been changed a little bit, and yeah, please let me know if anything looks like it should change. I know that there are still bugs here and there. I think that most of them are out of the way. If anybody finds anything that they would feel should change, then please just let me know. And yeah, thank you if you took the time to watch this. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend, and yeah, thank you so much.